Take me back to yesterday. Feel the love wash over me.
Welcome. Oh, Ashy. Hold on. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Petra C. And this week is going to be a reading vlog. I'm not sure if I'm going to put any clips of my me writing, but definitely doing my usual Kindle book reviews, free Kindle book reviews. Wait, no, I think I paid for a couple of books in this review, but most of the books that I've been reading all summer are definitely free. Yeah, as I was saying, most of the books I've been reading this summer are free, but I did give in a couple because most of the books that I read are for free. Usually the first book, which is to hook you onto the series. So of course the first book is free, but usually the other book. Okay, so I thought I was recording and I wasn't. I don't even know where I left off from the last part where I paused because there was noise. Okay, anyway, so let's just start all over again. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Petra C. Let's see if I'm recording this time. Yeah. Okay. I am Petra C, and I'm a writer, a bibliophile, and a homeschooling mom, and a homebody. So this week's vlog, I'm going to do my book review of Kindle books, and most of the books I read are free books, and most of the books are free because they're usually a part of a series, or they have very few pages. So they hook you with the first book, and then you gotta buy the rest. But it's worth it for some of them. So this week, I do believe I've read about 22 or 23. No, not this week. From the last reading vlog, I think that was about 2 weeks ago. I think I've read about 22 or 23 books, and I think I've only finished 13. And it's because the books keep falling into obvious traps or having stupid arguments that could be easily avoided, and it's infuriating for me. And I know a lot of people these days like drama and confrontation and all that stuff, but I like happy endings. I mean, life is miserable as it is. I don't want to read misery all the way through. I get to build a story and all that stuff, but can we get a happy ending? But so this week, the books that I have been mostly focused on was the Alpha Security Company series. And the first 3 books are about Nave, Mason, and Dante, and they're really good. The third book pissed me off, and with good reason, and everything works out, but dang, if they had just the husband got away with so much stuff that I just feel like even though she was saved, it wasn't enough justice towards him. And then the biggest part of the whole book, the third book that really pissed me off, was her son. Her son quite literally calls her on the phone and called her an alpha slut. I do believe that's what he called her. And it pissed me off. Your mama, your loving mama, who's done nothing but take care of you, feed you, clothe you. She wasn't abusive. She wasn't unkind. Even when he called her out her name, she still didn't yell at him or mistreat him in any way. He immediately sided with dad. I'm like, if you were living in that house, regardless if your parents tell you everything, you see what your parents go through. I remember watching my mother and my father fight, and I still remember it. They act like it never happened, but I remember those fights. I remember seeing her crying on the bed. So that's a lot of bullshit. You didn't know your dad was constantly cheating on your mama, mistreating her, and telling her she was fat and all this stuff. Like, when you have a good parent and then you always want to idolize the bad parent because they don't give you enough affection, it pisses me off. I don't know if I'm biased because I feel like I'm the good parent and my ex-husband doesn't do anything, and I feel like it's unfair that, especially my youngest, talks about him when I don't, at the same time, don't want to cause any trauma or any issues with them and make them hate him, but it still feels unfair. So reading that was a little bit of a trigger. But the second story, fourth book, followed Bane, Mason and Dante's lawyer for their company. And in this book, he finds Omega, but she hides that she's an Omega, which is understandable because Omega is almost in every book, even when they're like praised, they're also treated literally, quite literally, like books. So they try to remain hidden because they don't want to be forced into bonds with alphas who ain't shit. So she hid it, pretended to be a beta. She met him years ago, wasted 5 years, refused to want to bond with him, refused to tell him the whole time they knew each other. He saves her sister, and for them to only end up together anyway. That was absolutely infuriating. It just pissed me off, and I hate it. But her whole fighting him the whole way was stupid. Then for him to be constantly fighting for the right thing, holding back because he knows how niggas are treated, and to watch Nave go through it, for him to get mad at her for not telling him immediately instead of trying to understand and listen, also pissed me off. You just proved the point. But whatever. In all these books, the guys will do all these things to get the girl's attention. Always want to be forgiven. Just so, I guess, it's real life. Always want to be forgiven. And the moment the girl does something, the moment they're enraged, they walk away, they ignore them, and the girl turns around after being like standing up for herself the whole time, starts begging the guy. And he goes, oh, you know what? I was wrong. The bare minimum of an apology. And they immediately forgive them. And I'm like, this whole time, you've been begging this man, chasing him down. He's slamming doors in your face. Not this book specifically, in all the books. All the romanticides. They do all of this. And then the guy goes, you know what? Yeah, no, I was wrong. Or, I kinda am sorry. Or, yeah, let's move past it. And that's it. That's it. It's just given. Oh. It drives me crazy. Make him work for it, but that was it. Then the third story, but the fifth book, now followed the other alphas who worked in the company with Bane, Mason, and Dante. This one follows an alpha female named Penny. Penny blurred the lines of the dynamics. She started off from the first book as this hard as nails alpha. Then slowly trickling down to her story, she turned into this omega. And I'm fine with it. I don't mind her because I feel like it's perfectly reasonable for somebody to be an alpha or a dominant person majority of the time and still have some submissive tendencies or qualities. That's understandable. That's reasonable. What I don't like is that she's supposed to be this badass alpha going through the military and everybody was scared of her, but she got her ass handed to her twice. Huh? That don't even make sense. That don't even make sense. She got her ass handed to her twice, and both times Thale had to come and save her. And then another thing that pissed me off is she was supposed to form this alpha pack, or she could have formed this pack of alphas to be her men. And one of them, Killian, this really like tormented, brutal, former criminal turned good guy alpha, asked to throw his hat in the ring, and she didn't even consider him. I was like, why didn't you toss it up? Okay, because like in the first two, there were the two brothers. Then in the second story, there was Bane alone. I feel like the toss up of by the third story to have more than two would have been a good switch. But she did have a little, as I was saying, it would have been nice to switch it up. But they did switch up one thing with the whole alpha thing. But technically, I feel like Logan's an alpha. Logan, they gave her two. Thale the alpha, the rich alpha, and then Logan the beta borderline alpha. So he was blurring the lines just like she was blurring the lines. And then they were hinting at the fact that Thale and Logan would be a pair, and I kind of saw that coming already. But the Alpha Security Company series was really good. I really would recommend the whole thing, and there's supposed to be another book coming out, and I think it's going to be focused on Killian. And then the next book I read was The Boyfriend Bargain. This book was it was a good plot. There was a good plot there. The story idea had potential, but the problem for me was the attempt at writing spicy scenes. Now, I'm not gonna say I don't like spicy scenes. I do like spicy scenes. I write spicy myself. But for me, if the story doesn't flow with the spicy, then don't put it. If you cannot articulate or write spicy in a tantalizing way, in a really enticing way, like you feel like you're uncomfortable, it comes off in your writing. So this book, I feel like she shouldn't have tried. Like it didn't work. Like it was like also like kind of like starting something but not finishing it. So it was like it was like having a cheeseburger, chicken nuggets, and fries, and eating 3 fries, 1 nugget, and a bite of the burger, and then forgetting the rest. It was incomplete, and it wasn't okay. It just wasn't interesting. It was poorly written, spicy scenes, but the story itself was good. Like the build up, it was rather short, but once again, the forced drama to cause a temporary split. He was being unreasonable, honestly. She was guarded that whole time. You knew why she was guarded that whole time. Why would the thing that had her guarded would she turn around and do? Then you didn't even give her a chance. You disappeared for weeks for work. Then you come back, didn't tell her. Then disappear again. And then she's begging and crying. After you went through all of that, talking about you've been waiting and waiting and waiting. You've been waiting for her for years. Watch her reject men for years. Watch her reject men for years and be in a relationship, and then she was single for a year and rejecting people. Why out of the blue would she just start being a quote unquote SLUT? It was infuriating. Okay, where was I? I lost my train of thought. Nicholas just came down. Okay, I think I was at he went through all of that and then didn't give her a chance, and then she came by his place crying, and he still acted like she was doing something wrong, and then asking her if she had been with the guy, and she told him no. Then all of a sudden, after making her cry her eyes out all night, he just shows up at her place, barely apologizes, just starts undressing her, starts touching her, and she just gives in. She doesn't like hold her own or make him wait for like a week like he made her wait for weeks. She just gives in, and it was just it's just so annoying to read these things, because it's in real life. Like, men get away with doing and saying these things to women, and somehow they always convince them that it's justified, and they never make them work to get him back. And maybe that's why my ass is single, because I know back when I was with my ex, there was never a time where I just took everything back. Like, if you disappeared for a week, I'm gonna disappear for 2 weeks. I don't know. I feel like the only way some people learn is to feel, and like they just give these men so much grace and so much wiggle room, and the men don't give them the same, and I feel like it's unfair, especially when it's women who are writing these stories. But yeah, and then none of this would have happened if her assistant hadn't overstepped. There's professional and personal boundaries. Even if she let you into a little bit of her world, why were you speaking to him? None of this would have happened if she had spoken to him. And then too, why didn't she text him and said, oh, you want to hear something funny? I thought this whole time I was getting flowers from you, but it was from somebody else, and I accidentally showed up at dinner. She didn't say nothing to him. So yes, rightfully so, he had every right to be angry initially, but the way he prolonged it, the way he kept it going, and basically 3 weeks she suffered the unknown and the back and forth, and then he just comes back and they get a place and he proposes, and I'm like, I don't know. I felt like it was a good concept, a good story, a good plot, where her ex invited her to a wedding. She needed a boyfriend. It was the assistant, younger, hotter, way better, way more romantic. And then they ruined it for me with that, like making him a complete big head. Can't say the word I want to say, but yeah, no, it was really maddening for me. And also, the initial reason for them to get together. Ain't no way I'm going to my ex's wedding, especially if we didn't end friendly. You found out he cheated, you dumped him. Don't even look at me. Unless we have kids together, if we broke up in a negative way, don't even acknowledge my existence. Just walk past me. We don't need to talk. We don't need to hang out. And I definitely am not going to your wedding. Everything about that story, I don't know. Like, I liked Eli. That's why I was willing to take the story. And I liked Lauren. I just didn't like the ex, and I didn't like the way Eli handled everything. It was petty and childish. And granted, he's supposed to be younger than her, but still, she just let him get away with it. But whatever. And the next book, Dragon's Fake Mate. Now that's almost like the same thing like the Boyfriend Bargain, because they didn't really start off in a relationship. The Dragon's Fake Mate was really, really good, and I really want to read the other ones. And the only thing that pissed me off is, once again, the lack of communication. They both had feelings, they both wanted something, and it just was so scared the other one was going to reject the idea that it almost made them end things. And then they finally get to their understanding, their agreement, they confess their feelings, and then the little boy gets kidnapped. Literally like on the last few pages. And I was like, oh my god. So I left the book for 2 days. And then I finished it. It had a happy ending. And the best part for me, whenever I read these books, when regardless of who the villain is, some outsider, an ex-husband, a sister, or whatever, they always basically, to me, get off scot-free. Even if they get like arrested or whatever the case may be, they didn't suffer enough for all that they gave. And I'm more of an anti-hero person. I feel like an eye for an eye, let the whole world go blind. I do not agree with turn the other cheek. So in this, after her father had mistreated her for years, he had the nerve to then kidnap her son to be his heir because he always wanted a boy. Then he thinks he has every right to be angry, chases her, and the best part of it for me was that she unalived him. Now they're dragons, so it's a different set of rules and laws, but honestly, it's the equivalent of like if a human woman confronts her abusive dad and takes justice into her own hands, and he suffers with a limp for the rest of his life or something like that. If I feel like it was absolutely warranted. You do not ignore me, mistreat me, abuse me my whole life, and then steal my child after ignoring me, after letting me run away. You're a billionaire and you could have found me easily if you wanted. You didn't even bother. But the moment you found out I had a kid, a boy, you take him. He deserved it. He deserved it. Anybody, as a mom, I don't know, if anybody messes with my kid, no laws or rules apply in my brain. Like, you get what you get for messing with my child. Then the next book I read, okay, so the Breeder series, okay, I made it to 4 alphas. Honestly, I really love this more than the other one, which is basically the same writer, same concept, 2 breeders. The first one that I read, though, she was breeded to the king. This one, she's breeded to 4 alphas that are supposed to be the king. But this book had me laughing way too hard. When I tell you I was cry laughing at some of the stuff they were doing and saying, why won't I go to the page? Anyway, and just like I said before in the last one, they never give the villains their just desserts. But in this one, Emily is getting hers right, left, and uppercut. Like, they keep playing her, they keep insulting her, they're not like placating her or coddling her, and then also focusing on Rose and trying to be the good guy and the mediator. No, they're completely Team Rose, and I love it. And no matter what Emily does, she fails. It's fucking hilarious, and I love it. I love this one more than I love the other one. I think this one is also co-written, so that might be the funny aspect of, yeah, it's co-written. Maybe the Olivia girl is putting in the funny parts, because I'm telling you, like, they OD play Emily in every way, in every turn, but at every turn. But then I starts Against the Breeder, and I didn't finish that yet. I had to pause it because, again, you know, when they're constantly pulling drama, unnecessary drama that prolongs, you know, like filler chapters, the same way, you know, you have a show and you have filler episodes. The filler chapters kind of like take me out of the story, and I gotta take a break and come back. But I'm definitely gonna finish this. I just have to take a break. And then the next book I read was Drilled by the Soldiers. Drilled by the Soldiers. I do believe that's another Courtney Cox book. Yep. No, not Courtney Cox. Not Friends. Charlie Cox. Okay, the thing with Charlie Cox books are, right? I feel like Charlie Cox should co-write like the other book. She is really good at writing spicy scenes. She is not good at building a story. So she makes these books, and then it looks like there's a lot of pages. They'll say like 100 something pages, but at least 10 to 20 of those pages is her advertising her other stories, which are also short. So you're literally just getting like 5 pages of a book, which is also annoying because I think I paid for one of them and I got like that's all I got. But her spicy scenes are really well written. I feel like the other book that I was reading, The Boy from Bargain, she's good at building slow burning and building a story. I feel like they would make an incredible book. I think her name is Tazimi or something like that. If her and Courtney Cox wrote a book together or a series of books, I would pay for it. She could write the spicy scene and she could write the love story, and it would be it. That would be it. But like, I love her spicy scenes. They really do intrigue me. It flows, it makes sense, and it's uninhibited. It's free. There's no constant restraints like, is that too much? And it doesn't come off. Sometimes even with some spicy writing, the writing's spicy, but it still comes off a little prudish. Not hers. But yeah, it was basically a short story. I feel like she should just take all her stories, all books, and just put it in one book and make a collection of short stories, because I really don't feel like it's okay to make you pay for basically like 5-6 pages. Like, I finished this book. Let me see. Where's the end of this book? Is this it? Yeah, okay. So the book ends and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pages of nothing. 12 pages of nothing. 12 pages of her advertising our other books, a list of her other books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Now I have to count it out because for some reason this is how the Kindle is counting it. I don't know why, but I don't know. But it's 23 pages. It says 357, you know, like, but it was 23 pages. And I'm pretty sure I paid $2.99 for 23 pages. I'm pretty sure. I'm not, I don't think this was one of the free ones, was it? Honestly, I don't remember. I know I paid for one of her books. Or maybe it was the Lumberjack one. But it was good. I just feel like she should co-write with somebody else. She definitely should co-write with somebody else. And then the next one I read was Werewolf Reading Academy. And I remember when I had first initially started my reading vlog, my book vlog series, I started off with Beatrix Arden. Now, Beatrix Arden, again, I really love her stories, just like I love Courtney Cox. I don't want to bash either one of them. I like their stories. But she got lazy with this one. The first one was really intriguing, pulled you in. Then the second one was about the same. And then the third one, it was like, all right, y'all asking for it, so here. And then, I don't know, like, then I was like, there was thrown in spicy scenes, but it was so, some of them were so half-hearted. I was like, you might as well just left it out. The story is good. I don't know, it just feels like, I feel like I understand why, because like as a writer myself, I feel like she probably lost interest in her story, but she wanted to complete it. Because there's times where I'm writing a book. That's why I don't push my books that hard. I'm like in it, the beginning of the story, and then I'll get bored. Or this is why I also started writing multiple stories at once. So while I'm writing these 2 stories and I get bored of this, I'll go back to other 2, and I write that and I go to another 2. I feel like she got bored with this story because the first book was absolutely amazing, and by the third one I was annoyed, especially because she was just like trapped. And then I don't know if there's gonna be a 4th one. I really feel like there should be a 4th one, but I don't know. Her books are also really short, so making sure I'm recording. Then the next one I read was Charmed by 3. Charmed by 3 that's by Barbie Cox. And I read Barbie Cox's other book, Daddy's 4 Dirty Friends. Charmed by 3. Now, basically the same concept, a polyandry relationship with multiple men. Okay? So, in the other one, I really liked Sophie. I don't know, her personality just worked for me, and so did the men. But then this one, I really didn't like Valerie. Like, I didn't read the other books. Apparently the other books that focus on Sophie as the main character, eventually introduced Valerie, and I didn't read those. Maybe if I read those, I'd have a better understanding of her personality, but from reading Charmed by 3, I do not like her. Honestly, do not like her. I don't know what it is about her, but I really do like the guys, especially Hunter and Leaf. Chase is okay, but I really like Hunter and Leaf. So I would recommend Charmed by 3, but I also took forever to finish it because, of course, once again, there was an unnecessary point where there was some drama. It was just maddening for her to get kidnapped, and then the kidnapping scene was so dull. But it just, I don't know. Here we go again. Okay, so the next book I read after Charmed by 3, My Two Stud Stand. I like this one, but it was so short. And it was free, so I can't gripe about that, but it was just yeah, it was free, but it wasn't very detailed. It felt like it ended abruptly, and I know it's probably because there's a second book, and I will probably eventually look for the second book, but it just really, I wasn't a fan of the ending. I feel like she could have just given us 10, 20 more pages and then go to the next book. But it was just boop, 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 done. And then after that, I went back to You're My Mega. Now this is another Beatrix Arden. But this is good from beginning to end. All 4 books are good. And I'm going to start this series over. I'm really going to start the series over. I really love it. And it is so good. Because before, I've always had a problem with Omega verses. I don't like the way they write Omegas, and particularly female Omegas. But the fact that she made the man an Omega, it literally inspired me to, because I've always written my females as strong leads. I always have. And I've always written the men either as strong themselves, or not in terms of the actual Omegas, but more feminine, more submissive to my female leads. And I've never written a fantasy one where the guy was an Omega, and it always was an alpha basically being submissive. So her book inspired a story I've written, The Omega Alpha's Truth. That's on that you can find on Red Ink. And in my book, she's an alpha, but not just an alpha. She's many things, so you have to read it to get it. But it's a reverse harem, so she has alphas and omegas. But it just it inspired me to put the label of omega on it, because I've always written my men, well, not always, I would say 50-50. My men are mostly submissive to the women. So I don't know, I feel like in my younger years when I was writing, I would mostly put the women as 50-50. It would be the men would be a switch situation. The men would be dominant and the woman would be submissive sometimes, and they would switch. Or in other cases, they were both dominant. And then the older I got, the more I've written the men to be submissive. And I feel like it's because in my imagination, it's what I'm lacking in my life that I write. So at the time when I was younger, I was the dominant one, and my ex was submissive in many ways. So now that I'm not a situation where I'm a dominant, I'm writing more. So when I was in that situation, I craved someone dominant while I was being dominant. Now that I'm not in a situation where I'm dominant, I'm craving more submission, if that makes sense. So I feel like I'm the type of person who needs both a dominant and a submissive. That's what I write. So I've always had the inclination to Omega men. But in most books, when the man's on Omega, they're gay. And that's fine. I read those books. I love those books. Oh my God. But anyway, that's fine. This one was a little different because he wasn't gay. And he didn't hook up with any man in any form. It was always a female alpha. So I really liked that. And so the first book hooked me. And I thought about it the whole time until I finally gave in and bought all 4. And then the last book was good. It was a happy ending. And I loved. And the biggest thing for me in this book is the fact that I loved all the characters. All the characters. even if I hated the alpha who tried to steal him away, I loved the characters. And the thing is, for me, that's a rarity because I would say 70% of the time, I hate the guy. And like 15% of the time, I hate the girl. And then a 15% of the time, I hate both. This is like the first where I loved both of the main characters. I even liked his mom. She was just like, I see, but I'm not gonna interfere. But I see, I know, and I'm here. So I really, 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 really love You're My Omega series. Okay, yeah. So I absolutely love the You're My Omega series, and I really wish there was more. I know like their story is complete. I don't know, like it's kind of like losing a pet or a friend here. I'm just like genuinely sad. I'm done with the books. And even though I'm going to start it over again, I know I'm just going to be sad all over again. Like, I really, really, really genuinely loved You're My Omega. From beginning, middle, end. I know I was complaining around book 2 because he was engaged. But that was short-lived, and I'm glad. And it just made me so happy that they ended up together, and it was a happy ending. And then I read Stolen Hearts. Let me see. Okay, so this book was good, but it wasn't good. Okay, so the whole thing was that they were childhood friends and then almost high school sweethearts, and his family is Russian mafia, and he never had a chance to take her on a date, and because people found out that he didn't show up, they humiliated her, and they even bullied her. Like, they bullied her before when he was around, and when they got to high school, he had promised he wouldn't let people bully him, but then his ego got the best of him, and he was hooking up with girls, and he was letting people do it. So there was already a foundation of bullying, even though he said he wouldn't let people bully her. So by the time he disappeared and people saw her being stood up, the bullying got worse. So her whole high school experience was suffering because of him. Like, he always knew he liked her, she always knew he liked him, but yet, instead of just being with her from the very beginning, he was hooking up with random girls, letting people inflate his ego and his importance, quote unquote, and then he left her high and dry. And then when he finally sees her again, he's trying to protect her, which is okay, that's decent. But again, this is a situation where the men really don't pay for what they've done. Like, there's no actual justice, in my opinion. So she, from the very beginning, she's like adamant that she wasn't gonna sleep with him, that was just temporary, that she hated him. Then immediately she gave in to him. They started, which is fine, but I feel like he didn't do enough to apologize for what he did to her. And even though if it was high school, it still traumatized her. It was fucked up, and I don't feel like he showed enough remorse for what he did. But yeah, they get together. But the thing is, he's pleading his case and then telling her he wants her and that he never stopped having feelings for her and that eventually she's gonna give in. And then his sister's throwing a party, and the whole time he's been kissing her, or like touching her, and she walks in on him getting his sucked by a random girl. So this whole time you're telling me that you want me so badly, and I'm missing your feelings. You're telling me how badly you want me. Okay, they weren't together. Okay, that's fine. They weren't actually officially together. That's not the problem. The problem is she was there at the party and he was there at the party. It wasn't even like he was at his house and she was at her house. She was literally a few feet away, and you took some girl in the bathroom and got it. And then the whole thing was, it started off with every time he was with another woman, he pictured her. You're picturing her. She's right there. You're convincing your feelings. She explains to you how you hurt her. And then you take another girl into some back room and start. And even if he kicked her out, she didn't start exposing herself to him and telling him how much she wants her after she just saw him getting head from some other girl. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way I'm going to confess my feelings to somebody who said they had feelings for me. 30 seconds later, have another girl all over them. No. No. This is why I'm single. This is why I'm single. I just know. No. Ain't no way. I mean, eventually, the overall book I like. I just didn't like this one part. It really put a bad taste in my mouth. But the book itself, I really did like. I enjoyed reading it. I just didn't like that one part because, again, they give in so easily and forgive so easily, and it's frustrating for me because I will watch girls beg men to forgive them for another chance. And then I'll watch a guy go, come on, baby, you know I don't really mean it. And then she's like, I guess. And then she get it. Now, I'm not saying that that's every case. I've seen cases where guys beg. I may have seen it personally, but it's still just, I feel like the majority is the opposite. The majority, the women are begging even when the men do something wrong. And I don't like it because I feel like it's teaching girls, the next generation, to just take things, and I don't think it's fair. But I don't know, maybe I'm being biased, I don't know. But there's other books that come with Stolen Hearts. This was book 1, and then there's Stolen Moments and Stolen Desires, and the same thing with Charmed by 3. There's other ones. This is all from Barbie Cox. I really want to get the other Stolen series, the other by 3 series, and the other Daddy's Dirty Friends series. I like her books. Personally, it makes me upset to watch women just give in. And then, so those are all the books I finished. I finished Claiming Their Alpha, Saving Their Alpha, His Hidden Alpha, Omega's Choice, The Boyfriend Bargain, Dragon's Fake Mate, Mated to 4 Alphas, Drilled by the Soldiers, Werewolf Breeding Academy Book 2 and 3, Charmed by 3, My Two Stud Stand, You're My Omega Book 3 and 4, and Stolen Hearts. But I read 20 something books because once again, a book, just like a show, if something pisses me off, I'm just gonna leave. It's just infuriating and I can't stay. So I started these 2 books that I didn't realize were intertwined until I was already in the middle of the Savage one. But I started Ruthless and then I started Savage, both by Michelle St. James. She's a really good writer. I'm not gonna say she's not, but Ruthless was annoying me because I don't know, I just don't like the way the girl was handling the situation. And then Savage, I did like Savage. I really did like Savage. That story drew me in immediately, and I felt the pain of heartache and longing from both of them. It's just that in Savage, they're about to do some kind of like abduction scene, I'm pretty sure, because he walks back to the hotel and there's like a black van, and I don't know, like I gotta build up to that. So I'm definitely gonna finish Savage and Ruthless. And then I also want to finish Ruthless because it's a sequel to Savage. I mean, it's a prequel to Savage. So I already know something is about to pop off from Ruthless because of Savage. And now I have to go back to see exactly what. Because then it leads into Savage. But then I started reading Shiftless. I don't know. I'm going to finish this book. I know I'm going to finish this book. It's just, I don't know, like, it's taking too long to get to certain things. It's like, it's too much unnecessary words. There's too many unnecessary words for me. Like, as much as I just complained about the books being short, it's not that the book is too short. I feel like his story's so good, I want more. But in this case, in other cases, when I say there's too many words, it's because it's like unnecessary details. Like, overly describing a setting. The walls were purple, and the couch was gold with purple trim, and the marble was gold. I don't need all that, because whatever setting you were creating doesn't matter. My brain has already created what the story is for me. So I hate reading too many descriptions and too many details, and this is giving too many details, but I still want to read it because I'm liking the story so far. I want to see what happens with this wolf who been hiding from werewolves for like a decade. I don't even remember how long, but I did like Shiftless. I just have to come back to it. It's like, I'm a mood reader. I have to be in the mood for a certain type of story. I can't just read just to read. Like, I need to be in the headspace and the emotional state to read a certain thing. And I'm not in the headspace for that right now. Then the next book is, the Lumberjack Harem Collection, another Charlie Cox. For me, this first story was really well written. I loved it. I don't know, I just really loved it. But then it just ends. I know it says it's a collection, but it just abruptly ends and moves on to the next story, which is kind of like off for me. But I'm gonna read it anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna read the whole thing anyway. I was feeling that other story. I just want a little bit more from the first story. And then The Vampire Wolf. The Vampire Wolf Okay, it started off pretty decent, like, but then again, it's getting into too many details for me. I know details are needed for some people who don't regularly read fantasy or to build a story, but for me, when it gets to the point where I'm reading but the words are not sticking, like kind of like I'm zoning out while reading, I have to step back. So I have to step back from this, but I'm gonna finish it because I want to know what the bite is, and then it's called Vampire Wolf. So are they like some kind of lab created hybrid vampire wolf? I don't know. And then I didn't finish Forgotten something. Forgotten what? I can't even read my own handwriting. Forgotten what? Forgotten what? Forgotten what? Oh, okay. Forgotten Sing. Is that correct? Forgotten Sing? Forgotten Sing. Okay, so it's Forgotten Sins. See, that's the thing about cursive writing. I was like, sing? That made no sense. Forgotten Sins. Okay, so it's from the Never Been Caught series. And in about three vlogs ago, I spoke about the unexpected ride. And that was really good. So I got the rest of the series. And so I started Forgotten Sing, but it's on the first chapter, you know, when they build up and introduce characters. And since I already knew basically what this story was going to be about, I just want to get to the meat of it. I just want to see if he gets out of the life and all that. But I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to read the whole series because that was really well written. And then I've picked back up Blood and Midnight, but I didn't finish it. But so far it's going really good. I kind of, even though what he did was messed up, I kind of want her to still end up with X and the other two. I don't know, like, I feel like, once again, I can feel the longing from all the characters, and I just really want them all to be together. And then I was reading Wolf Mated. This started off really sad. I think that's why I haven't gone back. It starts off with her, she having this great dad, like this really great dad, and then he abruptly is murdered, and her world is turned upside down, and she's supposed to have these two mates, but it's so rare for me to read about a really great dad, and I don't write about great dads, and I don't have one personally, but that's beside the point. I feel like it was too sad for me for her to lose her dad like that. Like, she's the one who found the body and all that stuff, and I feel like if she had been 2 seconds earlier, would she have been able to save him? But I'm gonna come back to this book. I want to come back to this book. I just got sad, so yeah, I'm gonna come back to the book, but I just got sad. So then, of course, I've added a bunch of new books while still not finishing the books I have. But so I started those and I didn't finish it. I'm also reading another Mina Carter book. Mina Carter is the one who wrote the Finding Omega series. This one's about aliens, and I'm actually really loving this already, and I'm only 21% in. So I'm reading that book, the Lumberjack harem book, Shiftless, Savage, Ruthless, the Breeder books. I'm still reading what was the other book I'm reading? Eventually I'm gonna go back to the series, the 3 series I started. The Rejected by a Mate, the Dragon and the Academy one, and then what was the other one? Alright, I'm gonna have to go look. Oh wait, there was another book I started but I didn't finish. Wolf Mated. I don't know what it was. What stopped me from continuing this book? What? Oh, okay. So this one's another reverse harem, and she had been a captive wolf for most of her life, but she finally gets free, but she has so much PTSD. And she thought she saw the guy who captured her, but she kept saying, oh, he's dead, and then she gets captured. And that's at 79%, which is why I didn't finish it. But I'm going to come back to that. I really did like the story. I was so mad that she got caught so easily. And then, okay, so it's to Reject the Mate series. I'm going to finish that. Oh, and also didn't finish Dark and Forbidden Luca. This book annoyed me because this dirty perv had been stalking her all the time, and she finally gives in and sleeps with him, but for her little brother. to join the team. Then she also sleeps with her actual mate. She gets pregnant. And I'm like, no, it's the actual mate's baby. And she convinces herself it's the dirty guy's baby. And now she's debating whether or not she's going to trick the mate into being with her. I don't know. I'm like 30% in and I got mad and left the book. But I'm going to finish that. And then I have to finish the Rejected Mate series. And I have to finish the Omega Shift. Kingdom of Wolves I have to finish. And The Dragon Rejected. So I have to finish all those books. I need to finish all those books before I start another one. I have to. And Hidden World Academy. I have to, I gotta finish. I gotta stop this bad habit of not reading all these books just because I got an attitude with the story. It's not my story, so I just gotta finish it. But, yeah, I'm gonna try and finish it. But, now I'm going to try and write at least 3 to 6 pages before I have to start dinner. So I have a book. On Red Ink called The Omega Alpha's Truth. And then on Inkit I have The Twins Fated Mates. The Twins and Their Fated Mates. And then I have My Ex Isn't My Stepbrother. They're both reverse harems. And I'm working on those, but I'm also working on 2 Omegaverse books. A mafia series and a biker series, and a book of short thrillers. So that's what I'm working on right now, which is why sometimes I don't have enough time to read because I'm writing my own books. But I try to read every day. So I'm going to go and write a couple of pages for at least 2 of the books, and then I'm going to cook dinner. Yeah, it's been a long day. So I'm currently editing these pages for my Omegaverse book. But I was just thinking about the things I was saying about how the unnecessary drama, or the stupid way they lead into drama. So I was watching Gangs of London last night, right? And there's this thing that they do in these movies and these shows that really irk my soul. I just spoke about like a guy being in the middle of a fight and the girl screams out his name or whatever. It's so annoying because it's never going to be a time when my man is going to be fighting and I'm going to roll up and see him fighting and be like, oh no, Dante. And then of course every time he turns around and then he gets attacked, she's holding him to, but I can live without you. You wouldn't have had to live without him if you hadn't screamed his name. So watching Gangs of London, right? She's not a wife who's ignorant. She's well aware her husband's a criminal. She even gives him advice on his criminal activities. And then in the middle of the night, he realizes there are people in the house trying to get them. So he grabs his daughters, and his wife sees him grab his daughters, and she's standing in the doorway like an idiot, going, what's going on? What happened? And then he's trying to get them into the panic room, the safe room, and she stops and asks him, what's going on? What's going on? Why are we going in here? What's happening? It's a panic room. It is built to protect. Get inside the panic room and panic in there. You're holding him up, wasting time. Meanwhile, everything's falling apart because you're stopping to ask stupid questions. If you see your man running for his life terrified, then you run and you wait till you get to where you can and it's safe, then ask questions. If you see your man fighting, you wait and then you call his name when he wins. If you see your mom rushing off or telling you to get in the closet, don't stop to ask questions. If that's not a normal thing, your parent just going off and going, hey, hide in this closet, then hide in the fucking closet. Every time I watch these things and they stop and they go, why? What's happening? Doesn't matter. It's clearly dangerous. Your husband's a criminal. What do you think is happening? It's either cops or other criminals. Get in the panic room. Then, of course, because she kept messing up and then he was gloaty, she gets snatched. So stupid. So freaking stupid. Don't ask questions. Your life is full of criminals. If your husband says run, then run. Don't say, no, I can't leave you. No, what's happening? If you can't fight, if you got no skills with a weapon, if you're not some badass chick who can two-piece somebody, take your kids and go. What do you mean you can't leave without him? Then when you're all tied up and you can't, this is all your fault. What? It's nobody's fault but yours, okay? You knew he was a criminal. You still married him. You still slept with him. You still had his babies. You can't be mad at nobody for the position you're in. Now, You know he's a criminal. You know his back is to the corner. You know that they've been questioning him. He told you this. Then the same night, you end up in the closet and you're asking dumb questions. Go in the freaking closet. I'm sorry, I'm going on this rant. I just get really annoyed when stories and movies and books and shows make the kids or the woman ask these stupid questions. There's never going to be a situation where I'm like, we all running for our life or there's something dangerous and I'm going to ask 21 questions. The only question I'm going to ask is, where's my thing? And that's it. That's it. But anyway, I'm going to finish writing and then I'm going to go cook. So until the next chapter.
Fly me to the moon.